Hey, so I really did not expect to open my WWE network, watch this Undertaker documentary, and see fucking Primo Cologne in the ring with the Undertaker. I did not expect that at all. And that's why I have to start this video with my utter visceral surprise at seeing fucking Primo Cologne being the guy sent to work out Undertaker in the part 2 of the Undertaker documentary. I think that's fantastic. I always love to see guys like when they brought in Dash Wilder from the Revival to work out Edge in the Edge documentary. Curtis Axel, they brought him in to work out with The Rock. I love that. It's just so weird. It's not, I mean, you see these guys, man, the workhorse guys, they really got a good gig, because they're the unsung heroes, the spine, the backbone of professional wrestling. And I kind of wanted to start the video with that Undertaker in this joint showed how not only how much he worked, but how much other people have helped him get to the next level. And I'm shocked and surprised, especially since Primo was one of the people who has been released recently. Just like Dash Wilder was also one of the people, and Curtis Axel. Hell, I mentioned all three of them. All three of them were released recently during the pandemic. But these are the guys who, out of nowhere, help people getting back into shape and things like that. And I thought that was amazing. So, all right, so let's get into the, this episode has a theme. Well, there's, the theme has been redemption. Part 1, Undertaker is feeling a little low on himself because of his match with Roman Reigns. It wasn't that great. He was disgusted. He could barely walk, and he was just so disappointed in himself, and he wanted to come back and redeem himself. So, we get into this documentary now, and it feels like a continuance. Like, it all feels like one long movie. So, it doesn't feel like a completely separate piece, I don't like that it kind of repeats itself a lot. But I do like that, they went through a lot more his family this time. And they spent a lot of time on Michelle McCool. She's very underrated. I think that I always liked Michelle McCool as a wrestler. She was the pre-Charlotte. What Charlotte is now, Michelle McCool was. Except for the difference is she kind of didn't have, I think, Charlotte's umph. There's like a certain it factor that Charlotte has that I would think that she would put her like right above Michelle McCool. But, being an athlete, being an actual decent wrestler, Michelle McCool was not bad, and she looked fantastic in this documentary. This, I think, she was preparing for her Royal Rumble entrance. She looked great. And I looked, I had to cheat, so I googled how old she is. She's only 40, so that's crazy. Like she's only 40, but she looked fantastic. Seeing their relationship, what I wrote down in my notes, Simp Taker. I shouldn't have did that. And I also wrote down that he's wearing thong sandals. I don't know why that came in my head, but Simp Taker, talking about Michelle McCool being his soulmate. But I really liked that. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was, focusing. They didn't focus so much on his children as much as they focused on his relationship with Michelle McCool, which is, an interesting thing, because it's not something that he goes into great detail about at any other point in time, and you never really see them together on screen. So you're gonna get to see how they interact. That they work out together, but they don't do the same workouts, and it has this sort of same sweetness that the Beth Phoenix and Edge situation had, where but it's clear that she kind of wants him to be done. That's the one thing that I've noticed, like, as a recurring theme through this documentary. Michelle McCool just like, okay, was that it? I kind of want that one to be it. And she kind of had the same reaction after the John Cena match, which was the build up to this. Was they would build into the John Cena match. So they talked a lot about his injuries. Big Show, after WrestleMania 33, he said that it was almost religious how Undertaker stacked his boots, not his boots, but his gear in the middle of the ring, his hat, his coat, and all that stuff. And that, he was symbolically leaving it all in the ring, and that was going to be it. But he was so upset, of course, that he just couldn't let that go. So he's going to continue to wrestle, but his contract expires. So now we get into the really dope part of this interview, and what most people, well, this documentary, that I think a lot of people walk away from this, not with just, I thought it was just spectacular that Primo was involved, and I thought that Michelle McCool being involved was interesting. Going into the relationship with Undertaker was interesting. But the Undertaker, Vince McMahon, the bromance between these two guys is the respect level. You talk about two guys who's been attached at the hip for 30 years. This is the meat and potatoes of not just this part of the documentary, but of the WWE in general, period. Every shoot interview I've ever heard featuring a WWE wrestler eventually goes back to Vince McMahon and their individual relationship with Vince McMahon. Nobody has the relationship with Vince McMahon that Undertaker has. But it was still sort of shrouded in mystery. Like, we all heard about, Undertaker taping his fist when Shawn would give Vince the problems. And Undertaker would tape his fist and, kind of give Shawn the look that he might, have to beat Shawn up. We all heard about Taker trying to choke out Kurt Angle because Kurt Angle took Vince down. But to see them interact and to see that there's something exceptionally healthy about it that I found surprising and humbling, to be quite honest. Because, you hear that he says that Vince has been like a father figure, even though he had a father. He said he's like a father figure, and he's like an older brother. So you see, like, they have this thing where it's back and forth as a give and take. It's whatever the situation calls for. Where, Vince is the stern father figure when he needs to be. He's also the playful brother when he needs to be. And it works as far as their relationship goes. And that's something that I really, we could have talked about that for an hour. And I would have loved to hear him talk about certain situations, especially when, there's guys out there threatening to kill Vince and all kind of crazy stuff like that. I'm kind of interested in, like, how his reaction, like, what his thought patterns are when he hears guys. And, maybe Vince is, again, different with different people. He's the devil with certain people, the angel with others. But to see that they are that close, that really, I really love that. And I really like the idea of, Undertaker showing up at Stanford on a Saturday, and Vince is in the gym, and he's like 70. He's 70. He's coming in wearing that bright orange shirt, breathing heavy, to renegotiate the contract. And I really found it interesting that Undertaker didn't like Vince McMahon's reaction. Like, when he said that he's not sure whether he wants to continue, and Vince almost kind of agreed with him. And then he kind of went through this whole, is this reverse psychology where you're telling me I can't wrestle to make me want to wrestle? Or is you saying this as, I shouldn't be wrestling? Like, I like that he was, working it out in his head about how Vince McMahon is reacting to his performances. And that matters to him. And that really matters, how Vince McMahon reacts to his work. Because, this is the guy who's paying him. And their relationship is, if I need you, you will be there on both sides, And then it came out recently that in 2009 or 2019, Undertaker signed a 15-year contract with WWE. And I saw a lot of people actually tripping out over this. They were like, why would you sign a 50-some-odd-year-old man to a 15-year contract? I'm like, dude, this is a franchise tag. That's the equivalent of franchise tag. This means that he's not going to work anywhere else. Okay, that's really all it means, is that he's there for life. He's going to be under contract when Vince McMahon dies. And that's essentially what a 15-year contract between a 75-year-old man and a 50-some-odd-year-old man. I think he's 55. That's essentially what it means, is we're bonded together for life. Even if you don't wrestle, this is a lifetime achievement where you don't have to worry about working anywhere. You don't have to worry about working anymore, period. If you don't want to work anymore, you still get paid. So I really like that, and I think that sort of dovetailed nicely into this documentary. But the bulk of the documentary was Undertaker working out, trying to get in shape for his grand return to fight John Cena at WrestleMania 34, and the match that I absolutely forgot happened because it was all of 3 minutes or some shit like that. And Undertaker himself was disappointed. You know, he was disappointed. He said, you know, he was working out like heavy, and they did a lot of the workout videos, and you know, he was overweight, and so they got him to cut weight, and he said he prepared for 45 minutes, and they only got 5. And Vince was being conservative, of course. Vince was like, okay, you know, we need to cut the amount of time just in case. And he was kind of disappointed in that. But then we ended on another tragedy that Undertaker decides to push it, not just end on the John Cena match, but he's going to have another match in Saudi Arabia. So it's Kane and Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And the match is so bad that Undertaker now decides that he wants to wrestle yet another match in order to wash the stink off that. And I think that's just going to be the recurring theme here, is that he's pulling a Terry Funk where he's going to retire 5 or 6 times. But he's trying to find, and that's the central thing here, is that, you know, he's forever chasing the perfect match to end his career on, you know. And maybe it's just never happened. And he says in the documentary that maybe it's AJ Styles will be the guy, but he's searching for that perfect match to end his career on, you know. And I think he wants to end how Shawn got to end it. You know, Shawn got to end with, you know, wrestling Undertaker in this match that was a classic, and you know, Ric Flair got to end on a match that was a classic, you know. But he's really trying to avoid, you know, and he didn't say it, of course, because it's all recorded previous to this, but I think he's trying to avoid the Kurt Angle finish, where, you know, Kurt Angle goes out there, and yeah, Baron Corbin is an up and coming star, but Baron Corbin is not the legend that you want to have your last match with, you know. And maybe that's what he's searching for. He's searching for that right opponent who can have a really good match with and say, okay, that was it, that was enough. And I think the Boneyard match should really be it, you know. For me, I don't think that if you're going to go out and say, okay, no more matches, the Boneyard matches should be it. Now, you could probably do 15 to 20 more of those, you know, because there are a lot of post-production, a lot of that stuff. You probably could do 100 Boneyard matches, but I don't think you should. I think you should leave people with that AJ Styles, Undertaker Boneyard match as the last definitive match. But as far as the documentary is concerned, we're going to go into part 3, which I don't know what part 3 is going to be about, other than he's about to have another bad match that he doesn't like, and Triple H and all these guys are going to be involved, and it's about to be hilarious. So this part 2 was actually pretty good. You know, it was a lot of get to see Undertaker work out, get to see him interact with his family, you know, what he thinks about his family, what he thinks about Vince, you know. And I really liked that. I think this was probably the most human part of the Undertaker's documentary we've ever seen. And, you know, part 1 was very human in his talking about being, you know, his self-doubts and, you know, all of those different things. But this was him and his relationships, and I think that meant a lot to me. And it was actually, again, I began it with fucking Primo. I'm gonna end it with Primo. I am still fucking surprised that Primo Cologne was in this documentary. I can't fucking believe it. Especially considering he was on the roster all this time and not doing anything. Like, Primo wasn't doing shit. He wasn't even on, was he even on TV in 2018? I don't even think he was on TV. I think Primo has been one of those guys that's just been under contract forever and not doing anything. So I was real surprised that he was there. But anyway, this was a great documentary. Everybody should go back and watch it. If you haven't seen part 1, go watch it. But this has been great, and maybe I'll get some more surprises in the next documentary, in the next piece. I'll see you guys later.